everyone. Welcome back to the How to Podcast series. Now, the one thing I know is I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, or I don't know what I don't know. Yeah, one of those two. And when I don't know something, I go find an expert because they know things I don't. I think I did it. I think I got around there. Yeah. So Ashley Smith is here from Social Jargn, and she's going to help us to embrace the world of social media, to do better than we're doing now. And she's got the tools, the expertise, she's got everything you need, and she'll help you on your journey as a podcaster, content creator, to reach an audience, build community. Ashley's here, and you have to go check out her website. Link in the show notes. Ashley, welcome to the How to Podcast series.
Glad to have you here. Hi, Dave. Hi, everyone listening. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. You're here on the podcast. We got to tell a little bit of the story, how we met and everything through a mutual contact. It's pretty amazing. But how did we connect through our mutual connection?
Well, my husband is fantastic. And so he he drops down or trickles down what I do whenever he can in a conversation because he's just so supportive. But Social Jargn is a digital marketing company. I specialize in social media marketing and content creation. And my husband and his friend actually have a podcast. And John, my husband, has been listening to Dave for over the last year, honestly, about how to create a podcast. And he used, what is it called, Dave? The talkie thing that you have? The speak pipe thing.
Yeah. Very good.
He used that to answer one of Dave's questions. It was about email marketing. And he happened to, of course, share that he had a podcast and share that I know about email marketing. And we just kind of were able to connect and collaborate going from there. And so it's just a beautiful thing when those connections can be made and introductions can happen that way organically. And it's just really cool. And that's one of the reasons why I love what I do, is because that's the spirit of social media. That's why people gravitated to it initially. There's a lot more going on now than when it first launched, but that's really what I love about it and what it can do.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Share a little bit about some of the clients that you're working with. Maybe give them a shout out, but kind of who is in your world? Who's coming to Social Jargn and working with you one-on-one? Shout out some of the people you work with. Who are they? What do they do?
My bread and butter, which is done for you social media. Basically, they're small businesses that know they need social media, don't have time for it. Not in the place where they can have someone in house. But they don't want to spend their time there. That's not the best value for their time and energy. They're the expert in, for example, I work with Man Love Brain and Body Health in Rapid City, South Dakota. And their sister location is Advanced Brain and Body Clinic in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And what they do, they're mental health and psychiatry clinics that specialize, like they can do all of it, but they really specialize in severe depression and anxiety. So treatment-resistant depression, antidepressant medications aren't working. People want to try something new. They have, what I really love is a holistic view of it. They're looking at lifestyle preferences. They're looking at non-medication options, like all different kinds of things, and some really cool techie advancements like transcranial magnetic stimulation and ketamine therapy. And VNS is what it's called. I don't remember what it fully stands for, but they know that their zone of genius and their best time spent is with patients, not on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or in sales and things like that. They're there to help people. And so that's kind of where, I can come in with my expertise and help them. Like it's also commonly known kind of like a fractional marketing officer. So I'm not an employee, but they have me and my time and my expertise to help them with the parts of the business that they don't want to have to worry about overseeing or getting their hands dirty in, which,
Yeah.
they're my favorite kinds of clients because there's a mutual respect for each profession, and they trust me to do what I do best, which is just a great
Yeah.
thing for me.
I love it. I love it. So how many, at what point, like at a rough point of time, how many clients would you have on your roster at any given time?
um, it does fluctuate anywhere. Lately, it's been anywhere between 5 and 12. And yeah, the
Okay,
reason why
good.
is because I have some projects come in. Somebody might want a sale. I also work with a lot of creatives, authors, coaches, people who their livelihood is based upon the fact that they sell their knowledge and they sell their experience. So, podcasters, authors, they might hire me for, build a website or a sales funnel or help them with their community, their program. Um, Things like that.
Okay.
So I lead with social media, but there's a lot of other techie stuff that I'm doing, and I love it because it's always changing, and I'm never bored. And it seems to be the area where they don't want to be. They would rather, they want to be on
Yeah.
stage or they want to be doing um, podcasting. They want to have this interaction that
Yeah.
you and I are having, and that's their zone of genius. That's where they shine. They don't necessarily want to know what the crap meta did to the algorithm or or anything like that. So I've been able to meet some really incredible people, work in over 25 different industries from real estate and e-com to mental health, financial, IT. Um, it's
Yeah.
been really cool. It's been fun.
Okay, so you're listening to the show right now. I just want to take a second, Ashley, and talk to these listeners. You reach out to me on a regular basis with questions around social media, email marketing, all this stuff, and I can only answer you with what I know, and it's very limited because I haven't gone into the depth that Ashley's gone into. So I'm going to now send you over to Ashley when you send me those questions because she's going to be able to help you much better than I can. I only know what I know. So when you have somebody who does this as a career, helping many people, she has a depth to her knowledge that I don't. So that's why she's here, everyone. And you're like, Dave, why is Ashley on the podcast? Because she's here to help you. And she's here to help all podcasters. So specific to podcasters, Ashley, what would you say for a brand new podcaster? They want to create a show, they want it to be successful, and they want to build a community around their podcast. Do you have like a 1, 2, 3 where to start thing that's specific to podcasting? What would be a good place to create a social media presence and all of that? What would be the very basic starting point you would sit down with a podcaster and discuss?
Great question. So I have some unconventional marketing advice when it comes to this. To a lot of experts or quote unquote gurus that you'll hear online or listen to or read in their blog posts. So I believe that everything that we do in the digital world is just a way to amplify and maximize our efforts that we would do in the real world. So one of the things that my husband and his buddy did was they started talking to their coworkers. They started talking to family. They started telling people about the podcast coming up. And then to help with that, I like to call this mindful automation because you go too far into the robot stuff and people can't connect. And then you're trying to do everything manually and it takes up all your time and it becomes a lot of work. And we're here to have fun, right? So
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
led them into an email list so they could start that up. So when the podcast actually launched, everybody got an email saying, hey, come listen, come subscribe, things like that. So it starts with talking about it, which seems really, really basic, but that's where we all start, right? Telling people that you have a podcast or that you're going to launch the podcast, or it's a way to incorporate your show into just a normal conversation. You don't have to be salesy. You don't have to be pushy. It might feel a little like that in the beginning, but you figure it out real quick. And most people,
Yeah.
when they find out that you have a podcast, I've found they get really interested in that. They want to know more about the show. They want to know how they can listen, how they can support, things like that. So a lot of it is talking about it, right? A really common question, you brought this up, is people want to know what social media platform do I need to go onto? Because everybody says to do TikTok, but right now TikTok might be banned. So then everyone says go to YouTube because of
Yep.
the search engine stuff. But the thing is that I tell people when they're just starting, especially if they don't necessarily have the budget to have someone on their team or hire someone like me, where do you show up naturally? So you wake up, you look at your phone like we all do in bed that you're not, they all tell you not to, but you do.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Or
do that.
maybe it's the
Yep.
last thing that you're looking at before you go to bed, right? Like you're not supposed to. But what's the social media app that you open first? It can be Facebook, it can be Instagram, it could be Snapchat, it could be Reddit, it could be LinkedIn, wherever you're at. Where do you go naturally? And I guide people to be like, show up there, start posting and talking about it there. A couple reasons. One, it's already in your behavior and your patterns, so you don't have to worry about that hurdle. Two, you know how the app works, so we're already removing some tech intimidation, right? Because there's a lot of overwhelm that can happen with this, especially when people are just getting started. And you're just naturally going to show up. And if you're there already all the time and you're interacting with people, other people on that platform, your friends, your followers, your connections, whatever social app calls them what, they're naturally going to see it and have some questions and things like that. So that's what I have. I will also tell you from a visual aspect, everyone is about short form video and all of that. But if you're just getting started, start with selfies. People's faces always perform very well on social media. I let my clients know the only thing that's going to beat you or beat your selfie in the whole analytics game is going to be puppies. So,
Where's my dogs right now? Where
I mean, who doesn't love a happy little puppy, right? So, I mean,
come on.
You get a lot of, I call it vanity reach and awareness with that. But it is something that works. And one of the little hacks or tricks that I use is I always plan some sort of announcement or launch around my birthday on Facebook. So how algorithms work is not by copying and pasting, hey, if you want to be friends, or I fix my algorithm, like that doesn't work. What does work is that human connection element, being social on social media, kind of what it was intended for. So how that works is that everyone gets a notification on Facebook that it's Ashley's birthday. And so they write me on my profile, happy birthday. And then I take the time to go back and comment, thank you. Now, some of you are going, oh my gosh, what? But here's the thing. You just told Facebook's algorithm, the robots, right? That you and this other person have a relationship.
Yes, good point.
Right.
Oh, I love this. Keep going.
So
it's good.
The whole big brother thing with social media platforms is that attention is today's currency. And I took that from Gary Vaynerchuk, for anyone who's wondering, or has heard that before. So social media platforms, they want more active users and for a longer time. And how they do that is they feed you content that they know that you're going to like so that you stay on the platform. Because the more, who doesn't want to be around, in a space that they like to hang out in, right? And so when you're interacting with this, they're going to see, let's just say Jason wished Ashley a happy birthday and Melanie wished Ashley a happy birthday. And so now they're like, okay, Ashley and Jason and Ashley and Melanie like to see each other's content.
Yeah.
So now, I've got just over 1,000 friends on Facebook. So if math warning, real math, not girl math. And so let's say 102 people wish me happy birthday. That translates into about a 9 to 10% quote unquote conversion rate is what we call it in the marketing world, right? which
In the
is
biz. Yeah.
more than you're going to see on your normal posts. Well, now I'm going to take advantage of the fact that Facebook is saying this, my content and these people like to interact with each other and post my next thing. It may not get reactions directly, like those, and vanity metrics are the likes and the shares and the comments and things like that. But more people are going to see that post, and people, specifically, the majority of those people are going to be ones that wish me happy birthday that I might not have talked to, unfortunately, since my last happy birthday. But it gives you a quote unquote excuse to talk to people. It gives you leverage as far as, showing up in people's feed. And it can be more than just a thank you. It's supposed to be social, right? So I got a
Yeah.
Facebook, happy birthday from someone I haven't talked to in years, and it turned into, hey, let's catch up, right? And build that relationship better,
Yeah.
see what each other's doing, and then that's the time too when you can say, here's a really exciting thing that I have going on right now. I'm doing this with the
Yeah.
podcast. This is where I'm going with it, et cetera, et cetera.
Beautiful. That's a great example. I've never heard anybody mention that before, but the birthday thing, I'm going to capitalize on that. That's a great tip for everyone. So if you're listening and you're like, I'm really not good at social media, you can celebrate your birthday and use that as a starting point. So keep that in mind. Your birthday's coming up soon. Think about it now. How are you going to leverage that interaction with your audience as people reach out to you on a personal level? And again, as you build that relationship, that's all the platforms are looking for is how do we keep people here longer? And the more we can do that to encourage that, I encourage it in podcasting simply by listening to the end of the podcast. Signals to the apps, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, that this is good content because everybody that comes here, it's really sticky. People stay. They don't bounce after 10 seconds. They stay for like 45 minutes. And Apple's like, wow, every time I send somebody to Ashley's content, they stay and Ashley interacts with them. So we're going to do more of that because that's what we want is people to stay on the platform. So it makes sense.
Yep. And it works for other things too,
Right.
like if you get a new puppy or if you have, a wedding anniversary or, something else
Yeah.
to celebrate.
Anything. Yeah.
That's the thing. People, at least in my feed, and I've trained it this way by, snooze, mute, unfollow, unfriend. Those are options on social media. People who are overly negative or there's a lot of things coming into your feed because you become what you consume, in-person interactions, what you listen to, what you watch. It's okay to snooze those people so they go away for a little bit, right? Or to mute them, and muting is different, and you get to stay connected on the social platform, but you don't see their stuff. And so by training my own feed and using the algorithm, I'm telling Facebook what I want to see. I only see stuff that I want. I only see positive things. I see funny things. I see a lot of puppies.
So you're telling me that social media is basically a small puppy that we need to train.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right? That's what social media is. It has no idea how to behave. We're going to teach it how to give us the best content by. But the biggest thing I think, and I think I don't want anybody to miss, was around the birthday thing, to go back for a second, is the fact that you said thank you to the comment about happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's the key part. We need to be responsive when people reach out to us on social media. We also then have to respond to them. That's the key part. If it's just your birthday and a bunch of people say happy birthday and you don't respond, you're not actually solidifying that bond between you and that other person, right? So you need to be responsive when people send you messages,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And that's where I think some people can get carried away with the automation part. Because I think it's AI everywhere and with everything, and even Google is incorporating into my mobile app, and it's, but it's, I think there's a balance. There are some, AI tools that I use for speed to help me do my job better. Um,
Mhm.
and in a sense, I'm kind of more of a highly trained AI because I have more of a critical thinking brain, I think. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, taking the time to foster those relationships and thanking people, because I kind of look at it as at least for me, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without some of my supporters or any of my supporters out there. And so it's
Yeah.
just, I also I'm a little picky on my Facebook friends. I want to know you. So,
Yeah.
but
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's a great way to listen to your audience, especially for podcasters. It's a great way to connect with them, to have a conversation with them, to spark that. So that way you can create the content with a little bit more direction and intent, because then that's what your listeners are interested in. And so that's why I love,
Yeah.
your question of the month that you did, Dave, is because it's for
Yeah.
your listeners, right? Um,
Yeah.
the episode that you had about the email marketing, it was specific. I loved how you put it. It was specifically for, I'm here for you guys. So if this is something that you're going to be responsive to, I'm in. I'll do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the
Yeah.
whole spirit behind it. And I think that can get forgotten.
So that's what we call in the business a good segue. Well done. Because I wanted to go to the email question because I'm getting responses, which is
Yay!
amazing. First of all, to get any responses in podcasting from your husband to it's coming and I love it. So I've had people responding. Thank you, everyone that's responded so far through SpeakPipe and email. It's great. And so I'm kind of, my responses so far are like split 50-50. Yes, I love email marketing and I sign up and I read every email from content creators that I enjoy. And then the other side goes straight to my spam folder. I never read it. Now, there's some qualifying things in here where when the people are responding, no, they don't respond to email marketing, it's because of the quality of the content they were getting when they signed up for an email newsletter. So I don't want to be all poo-poo to email marketing and go terrible. The content they were getting were just basically, here's my show, here's a link. Now, the comment I heard from one person was, I've already subscribed to the podcast. So it automatically goes to my phone and I follow and I listen to every episode. So you telling me that episode 35 is available, I already listened to it because it's on my phone. And as soon as it comes out, I know. So the email for me in that person's example was irrelevant because I've already listened to it. I know that you have a new episode, so I don't need a notification in that moment. They said, I would like to have more, maybe behind the scenes, maybe more interaction with you as the host of your podcast, maybe additional content that you didn't include in the episode, another resource, your thoughts on the episode. That's different than, hey, everybody, new episode. So your thought to that person who's looking at email marketing going, it doesn't do anything for me because the content doesn't feed me and I don't see any return value for subscribing to this newsletter. What would you say to the content creator? How can we tweak that to have better content within our email newsletters?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Um, okay. So my favorite thing as a marketer is, uh, what's the questions that I have is, well, what's the purpose for the email marketing? And
Yeah,
what's
right.
is there a long game? There doesn't have to be a long game. Sometimes you do stuff and then one day, 3 years later, it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oh, hey, I could do this, right? Um, and so it's there's a couple different things. One of the faults of social media, and you'll hear this a lot, especially from email marketing specialists, is you don't quote unquote own your list through social media. You mentioned this, Dave. Facebook went down. Well, can't talk to anybody today. Crap.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and then now Facebook also, or Meta, So Meta is the parent company who owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and probably something else I'm forgetting. So when one branch goes down, the likelihood is the others probably go down, all of this stuff. And so that's kind of the argument for email and even text message marketing, right? It does come down to individual user preference. And I think that's hard because everybody is going to use their technology and their apps differently. I'm a notification person. I use my phone, I see the notification, just like the example that you gave, and I'm good. I also get a lot of emails. But I also have 3 monitors, about 7 different browser windows, and each of those windows have about 5 different tabs. So now understand you're talking to a digital marketer with social media specialty. Okay. So there's a lot of components here.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't think that there's anything wrong with those email notifications until you are ready to put the extra time, effort, and energy and resources into a high quality email. Because I think that's what stops people is they're like, oh, well, if it's just a notification, I don't want the email newsletter. But you're also going to have people that are be like, no, I could use the reminder actually, because I might dismiss it on my phone and forget. Right. There's also the opportunity to be like, hey, this is the intent for the email marketing. If you want to sign up and get an extra reminder that the podcast is out, that's where we're at right now. And then when you're able to, because I agree, in the high quality content, you want to be giving your readers value. Now, as the content creator, we don't really get to define what that value is.
Right.
Some people might find value in a daily quote. Others might not. Some might find value in a software recommendation. Some might not, all of these different things. Yeah. But it is a great way to, once you're there and create that content consistently, because we're kind of playing with the people have to remember who you are. And hopefully if they're listening to your podcast long enough, they'll see an email and get excited, whether that be once a week or once a month or once a quarter. And they open it up and it has all of these different pieces or cool little, tidbits and behind the scenes stuff. Like, yeah, I need all of that up. So there's nothing wrong with being like, this is what it is now. If you don't like that, don't worry about subscribing. I'll let you guys know when we get into some cool stuff. So there's that. Nice. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can do phases and you can do what fits you and your time and your schedule. Because there is email marketing experts out there that, specifically for sales, which we could kind of argue listening to the podcast is a quote unquote sale. They'll recommend, 2 to 3 emails a day to send to people.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm like, okay. And it's different. It's different. Like if you have a launch or a reminder or, abandoned cart stuff and all these other e-com things. But for some, especially if they're doing all the editing, all the recording, all the posting, then you add an email on it and it seems super overwhelming. Instead of once a week, what about once a month? And then it could be
12 a year.
And then it could be, hey, here's a recap of what, did you miss something? Did you miss an episode over the last month? We're going to dive into this. I'm really excited about it. Hey, don't forget about, our Saturday community calls. Right. So you have to find out what works for you. And what your listeners are responding to. And it's great that you're getting interaction and feedback because that's, and for anyone listening, like the more that you can take, the couple minutes to do that for your favorite content creators, like it really helps with direction. Because sometimes we're making something and we're just kind of like, well, we'll see if that's what people wanted. I don't know. Hopefully it can feel that way.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking about, because again, I want to do, like you go back to your point, I do want to serve my community, and if email newsletters are what people are looking for, I'm not going to say no. But I'm thinking of stuff like I'm going to do, because I use Buy Me a Coffee for people, they can donate
Yeah.
to the show. And the guys are doing that for I Shower
Yep.
After Work podcast here, which is great. They have their setup as well. They have it as beer, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. I love that. But so I'm thinking about doing like a mug shot. No, we think mug shot. We think of a police lineup, but no, like your
Yes.
coffee mug, a mug shot, right? And then have your Buy Me a Coffee link and share with me your mug shot. So take a picture of your mug at some location. I live near Niagara Falls, so I can go down to the falls. It's about 10 minutes from my house, and there's a natural wonder. Hold up my mug, take a picture of it, and that's my mug shot for the day. And then have my link to my Buy Me a Coffee or something, and just put that in my email newsletter and go share your mug shot with me. I'd love to see where you are in the world. So go to something around where you live and something iconic and take a picture of your mug in your hand and send it to me. And then that's your mug shot, right? And then we can all support each other with Buy Me a Coffee. That could be in a newsletter. I can't do that really well on a podcast because it's
Right.
more audio based, but that's visual. Back to your comment, visual based, something different that complements the podcast. That's not just hey, episode 35's out, right? It's something different from the creator of the podcast. The one thing I notice a lot when I have my initial meetings with somebody that listens to my show is they don't think I'm real. They don't, or they think I'm too busy to even talk to them. They're like, he's got to be too busy. I'll send an email, but I doubt he'll respond. I'll send a speak pipe, but yeah, he's too busy. And then I respond and they're like, holy crap, you're a real person. I'm like, yeah,
Well,
like I don't have a team. It's just me. But they don't, there's a perception that when you see a podcast, when you see a content creator, that they're hidden behind a wall of people and you don't really have access to
yeah.
them directly. And when you do, it's a surprise and a delight. So maybe the newsletter, the email newsletter, can be more of an interaction between the reader of the newsletter and the content creator to show that you're a real person, to show a day in the life, your setup of your studio. I'm imagining your setup with all the monitors right now in my head going, I'd love to see that picture. But that, that would be something that makes me curious about you so that when I'm listening to your podcast or experiencing your content, I have you in my mind. I now know what you look like and I now know your setup. So when you're talking about something, I'm like, I can feel like I'm in the room with you because you've given me that backstage pass, I guess. Is that kind of,
Yeah.
am I on the right track? in my email
Absolutely.
newsletter?
And I
Okay.
mean, to be fair, Dave, you have 8 podcasts.
8, yeah, just 8.
Just teasing.
That's all.
Just teasing. But no, that's exactly what it is. And I think the hard part for beginners or those who don't have a huge viewership or listenership yet
Yeah, both. Yeah.
is the discouragement when you don't hear anything. But that's why I think
Right.
communities like what you're doing are so important, to be with other people that are doing the same thing or in the same, having those other people in orbit for that support of like, and to be able to troubleshoot. Well, have you tried this? Have you given this a shot? What about doing this, or supporting each other with guest spots? Leveraging each other's audiences. I think it's just great.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful world.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so let's switch to maybe platforms for an email
Okay.
newsletter. I've heard of different ones, and I know very little about them and what they offer and what they don't offer, how expensive, how cheap, how many free email signups you get, all of that kind of stuff. So I see you looking up.
Yeah,
Steve,
I'm
I love
like,
that.
I
You're
know.
already doing research.
They change a lot. That's why.
Do you have a couple? Do you have a couple that you would say would, for again, going to the podcaster who with a very limited audience, small number of listeners, say 100 and less, maybe 200 or less, that's all they have. They don't have 10,000 people. So they're not looking to spend, again, we've spent a lot of money to create our show. So we're looking for something that's relatively cheap or free to get started. But is there anywhere you'd send us for a new newsletter for our podcast? Because I'm going to write it down
So
myself.
I started my business bootstrapping. Like it was my cell phone and my laptop and my internet, and that was my Adobe subscription, because Canva didn't exist then.
Yes.
For for all of you out there.
Dun, dun,
Like that
dun.
wasn't an option for me. Um, so the only thing that I like to at least explain to people is you might be very small and tight on budget. Just understand that when your audience grows, you might be looking at migrating into a different system, which is fine.
Yeah,
Just know that that can be a thing, and when that comes to that and you want help, just reach out. I can walk you through that.
perfect.
But there's two that I like.
Okay.
For that free tier, because for those of you, I like Constant Contact. However, they don't have their free tier anymore. It starts at $12 a month, and I think that might even be if you pay annually. But there is Mailchimp, which they have a free version for up to 1,000 monthly email sends. So does Mailer Lite. Lite is spelled Lite. They also have a free up to 1,000 subscribers, but 12,000 monthly emails. So
Wow. Holy
here's
cow.
the
Okay.
difference. And if you're new to this world, you definitely want to pay attention to this. So we're going to look at MailChimp that says 1,000 monthly email sends. So what that means is for every email that you send out. So if you have a list of 200 people, but you send 6 emails, you're going to be over your limit.
Right.
And they're going to charge you per whatever, or tell you, hey, you need to bump up into this plan, or however that works. Mailer Lite, in comparison, that's 12,000 monthly emails. So if you wanted to email everyone every day, depending on your list size, I
Wow.
think that there's definitely some more flexibility there. And right now it looks like there are some more features with Mailer Lite as far as something that people might be interested in. You kind of have to look at them. I always go straight when I'm comparing things. I am price conscious, so I do kind of see what I'm getting for what I'd be spending. But that's essentially where I would start, and then you can decide, okay, is it important to me that they're marketing, that people don't know what I'm sending my emails from? No, usually not. That's not going to phase me.
Yeah, you don't care.
I highly recommend that you sign up for one of these platforms if you're going to do email marketing. There were a bunch of new email regulations that dropped in February of this year to try and combat spam and unwanted emails. Now, if you're like me, you're going, yeah, it didn't really work because I'm still getting a bunch of junk, but they're trying. The rules for email marketing is people have to opt in. If they didn't opt in specifically to get your email newsletter, you can't email them marketing emails.
Yeah. Right. You can't assume, right? Because I have emails. People have emailed me over the last 5 years. I've gained all this email information from past guests, from all kinds of different things. I can't just assume that that's my email newsletter and start with that.
Right.
No.
Yep. You got to get the buy-in.
Right.
You got to get their buy-in. And I'm not an attorney, so I just want to.
Yes, exactly. You've never been one. Not been one on TV. You never.
Also, do not buy email lists. Do not buy them.
Thank you for saying that.
You will get flagged immediately. And even the Mailer Lite, Mailchimp, and Constant Contact, if you upload an independent list, they make you, it's a little checkbox, but which we've become desensitized to. But it's basically a signature saying that I didn't purchase these people. I have documentation proving that I can email them. So what people don't realize is that if you email people marketing emails and they did not sign up for them, it's actually like $1,500 per offense. Somebody decides to pursue litigation. Now, I will say that's here in the US. I don't know what's going on in Canada.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But
right,
it's
exactly.
just, why we don't like it when we get telemarketer calls. We don't like it when somebody knocks on the doorbell trying to sell us something. It comes down to, do you want to be known for that? Right. And I think the last thing that I will say on that is if this seems overwhelming, if it doesn't seem fun, my unconventional advice is don't do it. Like you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to show up. Is it a good idea? Absolutely. But like any tool
Yeah.
or resource out there for business or for hobbies and things like that, um, you have to enjoy it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has to be doing what you want it to,
So,
which is
yeah.
connecting to your listeners.
So if you're listening right now and you're like, I wonder if Ashley's the real deal. She just told you not to do this if it wasn't going to be fun. So I could bring on like 100 people who do things similar to what Ashley does, and they would never say that to you. They'd want to sell you on the product and get you to sign up for their $97 course and limited time offer, blah, 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 blah. Ashley's here saying, hey, if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Now that tells me right there that I would work with Ashley.
Oh,
I'm just going to say
thanks.
that because that's the type of person I would work with, who would be like, listen, you know what? This doesn't work for you. Don't worry about it. Don't stress out. You're good. Keep doing your podcast. And then maybe come see me in a year as you grow your community. And maybe it's better then in a year. But there is a value to it. If you have time to do it and you do it well and you do it the right way, there will be a return on your investment, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So do that. So my other question then before we go, because I have you a long time already, and I'm going to have you come back because
Sounds
you're
great.
awesome. You're really fun to talk to, and you got, again, you know way more than I do, and you'll help me with my emails that come to me, and I have no idea what to do. I'll just send them to you. The whole thing around text communication with your audience. Now I'm in Canada, so again, I have to kind of do the math, but what goes on behind the scenes to have it, like people able to text the show or the show text the audience similar to
Yep.
email sign up, like how same thing? And then what platform would you use to do texting with your audience? I
Yeah.
don't even
So
know.
there are. So texting is going to cost you more. Um,
Yep. Oh yeah.
compared to email. So it's kind of a relative like thing, and I'm looking this up right now. So same thing, you have to opt in, you have to give people that's what I forgot. Texting or email, you have to give people an easy way to unsubscribe. No Beauty and the
Yep.
Beast
Yep.
situation here of trapping. You have to let them out. Okay. And that was part of, yeah, that's part
Thank
of
you.
one of Google's updating factors is instead of all the way at the bottom in little tiny print, you have to find the unsubscribe or update
Yeah.
preferences. They're making everybody, nope, it's right up at the top in the email header. There's an unsubscribe button. So just another argument for have good content and then people won't unsubscribe. Okay? So
Right.
when it comes to text messaging, I like Twilio, Twilio. I also have a texting software all in one marketing solution that people can talk to me about if they're interested in that. But um, that has some different pricing here because
Yeah.
kind of get complicated as you look through this because they talk about standard text only messages and then they have options for you to do multimedia messages or MMS, the fancy graphics and the
Yeah.
GIFs and stuff like that. And then it is what's your
Yeah.
what does your subscriber list look like? How many texts are you sending?
Yeah.
Typically, what happens is Twilio is stating your first 2,000 contacts are free. And then their paid plans start at $15 a month once you hit 5,000. That's kind of
Now, okay, is this
this
US
is
based?
US.
Global? So if I have a listener in the UK, one in Zimbabwe, one in New Zealand, and 5 in Canada, I can text all of these different listeners, or am I bound by my geographic location? Do you know? Because I didn't know the answer to that one.
So once you start going in international, that's where so I'm looking at Twilio's website right now. So send and receive messages in, and this has and I switched it to Canada. It's literally so what you'll pay is 0.0079 cents per message outbound and inbound. Is what
Okay, so there's a
Yeah,
charge
there
when you
is a
go
charge.
outside
It's
of the
basically, I
borders,
tell
right? Yeah.
people it's a penny. Looks like for US, they're running around the same. As far
Okay.
as cross things happening, international and
Yeah.
country stuff, I would look at possibly a toll-free number, and then you
Okay.
have to abide by the marketing laws of that country.
Right, and Europe has
Yeah,
their own special
and
things.
the
Yeah,
US is trying
right.
to catch
So
up.
be
So
aware of
there's a
that.
little bit more research into that question.
And this leads us to, oh, Dave, I have a lot of questions. Then you need to talk to Ashley. That's it. She'll walk you through all this. You're not by yourself. But there's an option when we're text friendly to reach our audience. I know I listen to the Buzzsprout
Oh,
podcast. They have a text line. You can text in. I think they pay $20 a month, but they have it tied into other things, so they're able to leverage it, and they get text messages from their audience. Again, U.S. based. They're in Florida, but U.S. based. They don't get a lot of international text. But anyway, it's an option. So if email's not your jam, maybe texting is. I don't know, but there's a cost. So just keep that in mind.
and it's a separate phone number, by the way. So you won't be giving out your
Yeah.
personal one, but that also means there's another
Oh,
platform that
yeah.
you got to check. So
Right.
depending on who you work with, yeah.
More
So there's a
homework.
lot.
I love it. Okay, well, Ashley, I've had you so long. It's great to have you on the podcast. You do have to come back. So again, shout out you have two websites to share with us that we're going to have links in the show notes as well. So tell us about the two different websites. And again, we'll send everybody there. But where do we go to connect with you? We have a lot of questions now. You're now our new podcasting social media best friend. So now you have a bunch of new podcasters who are going to be ringing you up. Hopefully you have some bandwidth and some time for us. But where do we go to connect with you and work with you?
Yeah, so you can check out my company or the agency at socialjargn.com. There is a typo. That is intentional. SOCIALJARGN.com. You can see all the business stuff and what's going on there. And I do have an email list sign up, but I need to rewarm that up. Probably the easier way for everybody on here, if you're wanting to connect with me directly, is if you go to chatwithash.com. That's actually going to take you to one of the free gifts that I'm giving everyone, which is essentially it's a repurposing content map, which will help, or the intent is to help you with your social media distribution. So take a look at it. It is a little bit of an inside look into my brain. So if you are confused, I'd love to know how to make it better for everybody, how to make it better for you. Because the way I think isn't always the way that you think. Also on there is my booking calendar. If you want to schedule a time to chat, there's little times you can see for how long that you'd like. Most people want to do a connect and collab. You can book that. I don't charge.
Yeah.
It's there. And then, of course, all the links to all the social media platforms that I have an account on, which is pretty much all of them. So pick your favorite one and you can find me there. I am the most active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So just to let you know.
Excellent. Great resources. Go and get your free gift, your repurposing map. And then that's the reason why, again, I wanted to have Ashley on, A, because she's such a nice person, but B, she's got the tools and the resources to help all of the podcasters that are listening in our global audience. So they're all here. And I'd love for you to connect with Ashley. And again, I'm anticipating that I'm going to get requests to have you come back. So put that in your calendar. Please come back in the future. We got a lot to talk about. And to have an expert on the show who can give us direction. You're already helping me in our conversation today. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And again, I'd love to send people to you. So everyone listening, you have homework, reach out to Ashley, get some time in her calendar, and she's got some great tools to help you out. Ashley, thank you so much for being here.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, thank you for sticking all the way through to the very end. It's bittersweet that the episode is over and that we're done for this episode, but you will come back and I will come back, and there's you and me, and we're one big happy family here at the How to Podcast series, far beyond being just pod pals, which is fine, but I'd much rather do life together as family here. And to that end, a reminder, as we talked earlier in other episodes as well, that we do have a meetup group, and you are invited. I would love to have you come. It's free. We do them scattered throughout our calendar, different days, different times, because we have people listening around the world, like Kuba in Warsaw, Poland. Hi, Kuba. It's amazing how we can reach the world with a podcast. So through our meetup group, what we do is we get together. It's free for you. It costs me money, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. We get together, we meet other podcasters, we talk podcasting, and it's a way to get from behind the microphone, sitting by ourselves, recording on our own, and doing community. Podcasters need community. You need to meet other podcasters. And just in a low-key, fun environment, talk podcasting. So my challenge to you in 2024 and beyond is to get into a meetup group, find other podcasters, introduce yourself, and make new friends. It's just like school all over again, grade 9. Let's meet each other and share the podcast journey. Go to howtopodcast.ca and click on all the information you'll find there around our meetups. And I'd love to have you there. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next episode. Get out there and record your podcast. Take care.